Bandit Kaid is tried and true. We do see that quite often on Skyscraper internationally, so no surprises from W7M. I'm really looking at those Furia bans, though.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of a surprise, but a welcome one at that. Double electrification on a map like Skyscraper is not uncommon. Was it a Skyscraper match that we did in North America where we saw both Kaid and Bandit get banned out as well, or it might have been a bank match? We have casted, you and I, so much over the last 5 days that everything is kind of melded together, and most of it has been North America, so that, coupled with the lack of rest thanks to Mother Nature last night, led me to do a double take when I saw Paulu's name. Just one of those brief moments where you're like, oh yeah, that's right, he's on the team. Oh, how could I almost have forgotten that? A Lucifer, as he can be the devil that you know, and the devil sometimes you don't. We'll need a big game, as W7M will have their hands full now against a terrific opponent in Furia. We'll get round number 1 underway, and Herd starts off the round on Clash, spending the first 30 seconds or so outside of the building.
It's about to get hot.
Herds has played a bit of Clash this season. This will be his 4th time in Stage 1 that he's brought out the Clash. So he plays it here and there, but it's not exactly an operator that you would have expected to see being played by Herds. It's a great operator for Office Exhibition regardless, though. On the side of W7M, they do play a lot of Grim and Nomad. Those are actually the most played operators of Volps and Dodez respectively. So there is some sense there in the Furia bans, maybe giving a little bit of a history to back up that bans. And Herds has also on this site played a decent bit of Clash. It's actually T-Karaoke to start us off though, so that extension being played by Furia might not really come into effect. You see Dodez over here, and there are a couple of players lurking towards the office side of the map, but with some players already on the karaoke window, I do wonder if this is going to be a more fast execute from W7M, something where they go direct to site, where they try to get into the bomb site quite quickly. The logic bomb goes off, and they start to make gains towards the jump out player of Herds, but he wins the fight.
He's not long for this earth, but KZ takes one more player on the side of W7M down before Herds perishes. So a great gambit to start off this map by Furia. Now it's Nade who will be in some trouble. There goes a death mark. The smoke now playing around this position. Nade bafflingly wins that engagement. Does so with a single point of HP and will now take up more space on those back stairs amidst the plumes of gas he's thrown out. Loban and Dots, 2 players talked about by you, talked about by the desk, will have to make a statement here in round number 1. The diffuser is still in hands of the Blackbeard. KZ is ready to distract him, trying to knock that shield on over. Nade doesn't have very much left. Why not gamble? And he doesn't do a point of damage to the Blackbeard. Up the back stairs, Loban tries to take an opportunity to catch them in a bit of chaos. He fails in that endeavor, and now it's Dots with the shield still up. 30 seconds left to jiggle peek this corner up against KZ, and Furia are preventing the Blackbeard from getting in to get to Dots down on those stairs. Final kill will come in on the side of the former world champs, and Furia don't really break much of a sweat on that first defense.
Well, I'll tell you what, Parker, that is one way to avoid giving up those early deaths, is if you're going to do a jump out, do it on the Clash. Fair enough from Herds. Gets the job done, wins his 1, and then despite being traded, KZ is right there to capitalize on the chaos. He got 2 kills in that round, had a really big impact for Furia. So I like this defensive start. I once again would theorize that maybe Furia are going to run away with this first half. Skyscraper is the most defender-sided map in the game. It is so difficult to attack. And despite Furia having some real struggles against ENX earlier on in this stage, they're an insane team, and they will have learned from that mistake, whether it was an intentional play, as I theorized, where they're trying to bait W7M into picking this map, or whether that is just them taking it as a learning experience, trying out a new play style where they're going to be able to bounce back. I think we are going to see Furia have a more passive game up against W7M, or at least take these aggressive swings a little bit smarter than what we were seeing in the group stage.
I like how you say that after KZ got very aggressive on the Blackbeard trying to get into the building, but that was largely done just because if you let the Blackbeard slip by and he can set up and get into a favorable spot on those stairs, bring the player back, that can completely change the way that the round is played out, especially with there being ample time for the Blackbeard to do something. It was Loban who was down, if memory serves correctly, and Dots had to get him. I swapped the player names around, but Either way, yeah, I mean, let the map work for itself. Skyscraper is a humongous map. It almost feels like two maps in one. I think that was kind of the original design idea with Skyscraper, especially that middle portion, but it needed some changes because being outside on Skyscraper was quite miserable, and it had problems that are very similar to what Cafe went through as well, which was that getting into the building proved to be an immense challenge. Outback was another map that had that problem. Outback was fixed, quote unquote, by getting a rework, but still not to suitable levels to see in pro play. Skyscraper is obviously nestled in here very nicely as a pro map. Right now, w7m hasn't really struggled to get into the building at this point in time. They've burned some EE1Ds, they've used some utility in the process. Aurora's gonna try to close some things up, and Philippox will get kill number one. Felipe downing Dots. Get on out duel Dodez, who follows up in tow, and my goodness, w7m are so quick to get these kills. 2 kills in the first 90 seconds will knock Furia back towards the bomb site.
Nice shot by her. It's playing around the clash. This time it's his teammate that will take the reins. Does get traded by Dodez, unfortunately, so down to a 2v3 favoring w7m. Minute 30 on the clock, too. Their time is really good. They've got great utility. They've got both a Deimos track and a Logic Bomb on JV92. He's surely not long for this world, but he hits the shot regardless. That was beautiful.
I don't like what I see out of Furia getting pushed around at this current point in time, but JV92 and Nade are both such good players as now they find some salvation, cuddled up. A little bit of affection between the two of them. Some team bonding in the corner. Oh, Lou gets baited in perfectly, and JV92 with that MP7 in hand. I'm an MP7 truther. It's a terrific gun. Use it more often, whether you're on Fenrir, whether you're on Zero, whether you are on Bandit. And yes, it is available on Attack. Another round will go in favor of the world champs.
Great coordination in that 2vx from both JV92 and Nade, coming through with some big plays to be able to shut things down. That support duo of Furia, they're often odd to call them a support duo, but they are primary secondary support. JV92 can get a little aggressive sometimes, but he's also incredibly intelligent. You know, he knows when to rein things in, get some information from your clash, ball back, hit the shots that you need to. Some really clean gameplay coming out from him. And then from Nade, once again, he's not really known as a shield player, right? Because when we talk about shields, we talk about attacking shields more often than not. And Furia actually are probably the prime example of one of these teams that don't run shields, even in today's meta. I believe, as of at least a few weeks ago, this might not be accurate now, but they did have the fewest shield pick rates of any team in Tier 1 outside of Apex. So they don't like to run these operators very often. But on the defense, Nade actually has the highest clash pick percentage of any player in the league. And he's got an excellent win rate of 2/3 on that operator too. So keep an eye out for more clash. I would expect that to be the ban after the 3rd round, even though it's not being played on Barbecue Kitchen. Nade can play it exceptionally well in a passive position. And as we've seen from Herds, they can use it offensively as well to great success.
First round without a clash for Furia as a shield will be brought the other way around. No Blackbeard on the side of w7m, now swamped out for the Monty. So the Blackbeard isn't really paying off and you need a more static operator. The Mountain will have to do. Dots will continue running those shield operators, and I'm with you on that. You don't necessarily want to refer to players as that defender / anchor support duo. Dots will support the team now, though, as he leads the rest of the gang on in on office side. House side, as some will call it. Furia scrambling backwards. Killed a minute off the clock, so good timing on their end. And now w7m's attention, as they've conquered that house side, will move over towards Geisha.
Calm defense so far from Furia, not wanting to overextend. This is, again, what kind of bit them last time against ENX, so they're happy to concede off this side of the map. The Monty makes it really awkward to try to hold it down, but the castle barricades are falling quickly, so they'll need to step up and take a gunfight at some point. That's what KZ's trying to do deep inside of Drum, use these goo mines to slow down the advance of Dots, but they get cleared, and now he will start to make a move. Dodges the Nitro, continues to take ground.
It's a lead for Furia now as Loban falls and falters. Dodez absorbing a lot of damage, as has Dots. So w7m are taking their licks. JV92 on low HP on the side of Furia, but everybody else doing pretty okay as Herds is engaged in a real ugly fight that's not really doing much. Both he and Palu tearing strips out of each other. It will find that conflict come to an end very quickly as Herds pushes back, allows Palu to exist without a kill yet, but Palu playing on that thermite. It's going to be in an interesting role. A nice flank from KZ as he's got a player to his right. Dodez just dodging around that with a quick crouch. A 3v3 we will have for the ensuing showdown. Dots has been punished and is on the ground, will need to be retrieved. Nade was looking for a follow-up. Mountain back up. Nade in a rough spot. He had a window of opportunity, Jesse, to slip through his fingers, but guess what? It's Herds down below. He struggled with Palu. He'll take Dots down this time, and a great situation for Furia to ride out the remainder of this round. Swing on over, and it comes very quickly. We thought we'd have maybe 20 seconds left in the round, but no, we had less than a second. Furia sweep through this and are off to a terrific start here on Skyscraper.
Furia's mascot is, of course, the Panther, but at that round, Herds looked more like a naked mole rat. The way he was able to play below his opponents, strike from beneath the surface, and have a massive impact to clear out not one, but two players from that vertical angle. The first one with, of course, that angle into drum playing down below inside a pantry. He tried to get the Monty with the nitro, was unsuccessful, had a good follow-up, barely survived the second engagement with Palu, and then went back around to finish off the Monty below the site. His presence down below the attacking team was a real thorn in the side of w7m. Maybe they should have recognized as soon as they lost, or as soon as they didn't find anybody on the offs extension, perhaps that aggression was coming out elsewhere from Furia. Perhaps instead it was being played down below. I don't think it was something that w7m recognized until it was too late and they'd already lost that first pick. Going down 3-0 on their skyscraper attacks means that w7m will call the panic attack timeout. They need to be getting some more offensive rounds here against Furia. Back when Furia were on defense against ENX, they went 3-3 for 6 rounds. So w7m would need to go flawless through the rest of this first half if they want to even match the scoreline that ENX put up.
Yeah, I mean, an awful start for the first place team through the group stages. w7m getting blanked through 3 in a perfect site rotation does not occur all that often on this map. Skyscraper, just like it is in North America, is the least played map here in the South America League, only behind Consulate by a single round. For those that want the numbers, Skyscraper was played a total of 18 rounds through the group stages. Consulate was played 19 rounds, so very, very close. Difference being between those two maps, though, is Consulate is very closely balanced. Skyscraper is anything but that, and even though it has a tiny sample size, it enters with one of the most defender-sided win rates in the entire world of Siege. Of the 18 rounds played on Skyscraper, only 5 of those rounds have been won by attackers. Defenders have a 72% win rate. And that's only going to continue to get better for defenders, given that Furia is now up 3-0. 16 rounds at this point in time, won by defenders, 5 won by the attackers. Those are terrible numbers, and w7m will really have to run up the score on this second half to catch up, should that pattern hold.
Thought we might see the Clash ban from w7m. They go Fenrir instead. JV92 has played that operator every game through the first, or every round through the first quarter, so not a bad ban. It makes sense that w7m would want to remove that. Furia take out the Dokkaebi. That was a big operator for Logan through the first 3 rounds too. So definitely some respect being shown on each side, but they will need to come up with some answer to Herds on the Clash, as he got a big opener last time with the jump out of the Shrine window. Playing aggressive with KZ, that entry to a Furia that can be so deadly when they're out on their own. As soon as this window opens, it will be off to the races for w7m, but they've got to time it correctly so they can get in onto Herds.
Updated social prediction, more players, or more voters rather, going towards this w7m lineup, which is a bit of an oddity to me that w7m's fans have found the social poll given the scoreline we are looking at. So I think you still have time to vote as to who you think is going to win. Feel free to do that on any of the major platforms. Dota has a good entry onto KZ, immediately thrown out of the building by JV92. So whatever advantage there was for w7m is gone. It's the Ella off the board. Those Guzmat mines thrown out by the Polish operator are passive gadgets. They will still exist without Ella on the board. Can't say the same about the Sazami, by the way. Nice kill from Nade to trade this one right back. Furia is not allowing w7m to build up a big lead here, and now the lead is completely gone. Furia taking an advantage with Herd swinging onto Dots. Last Candela to go out by Volps now, as that's Ying starved of his main utility. Palu and Volps, the last two left. Volps looking at his what was once former team. He and Palu were on Liquid together, and they will need to make some serious magic happen. They're doing it, by the way. They combine for fewer kills than Herds has, but it doesn't matter a lick as Palu sweeps through the last two players, and w7m finally get a round victory.
The bad blood between Palu and Volps maybe brings them stronger together in the 2vx situation. They do come together for some really nice late round play, favoring w7m, getting away from a round that probably should have gone the way of Furia. I thought Nade was playing expertly at the top of the black stairs. He saw that there were Candelas being tossed at him from the top of the stairs, and so what did he do? Didn't try to contest with the Ying. He said, I'm probably being pinched. Went down, killed Loban, who was down below him. That was really smart from Nade. Then it felt like Herd was doing a lot with that clash up the top floor over towards Drum, but it didn't seem to matter as all of his teammates in sight got picked off. His roaming partner of KZ wasn't playing close enough, ended up going down without a trade, so it definitely did feel like w7m had a better handle on that round. It was a bit slow. It was a bit scary for them as they still didn't seem like they had a good answer to the clash, but sometimes the best answer to a clash is just ignoring it. Get the pick onto the other roamer house side, and then come back and just hit the bomb site. Let the clash exist in Drum. You've got him on a drone. You know where he is. Not going to move very fast and not going to be very stealthy. So keep tabs on that pretty easily.
There's always a good game that's played with Clash, a meta game inside each round where good Clash is going to read into where the attackers are coming from and position themselves safely to slow you down and force you to tackle that obstacle. A good attacking team will attempt to isolate the Clash and focus elsewhere while the Clash becomes more and more helpless as her supporting cast dwindles. It's very similar to a Monty. A Monty can be very, very strong on his own and often is, but with another operator in tow and fewer defenders than attackers, a Monty will be a big problem. Clash functions that exact same way, so just being able to watch that is fun in and of itself. It goes to show you the knowledge that these two teams have. There'll be Nade on that Clash operator now as w7m tries to skirt away from the slow forces on the side of Furia.
They had a good early round on the side of w7m. Last time they had to clear through this side of the map. The bomb site was off exhibition. They got the opening picks over towards Geisha. Now they're going to try that again. It's fast move from the Blackbeard, but the melee priority for defenders is good enough for Philippox. Big kill onto Dotch. Nobody in to support the Blackbeard's a big mistake. Now Philippox even looking to go for too aggressive on the Geisha window. Doesn't get flashed out. They don't know he's here.
Nothing's really been done to Furia at this current point in time. w7m are treading water and are slowly sinking on this round. That previous round could have very easily been a Furia victory as well, so even though the round goes to the Bulls, it's still the Cats on the right side of the screen that could be up 4-0. They're going to look for a fourth round in earnest, unless Volps can pull off a clutch. Got over a minute left. A very quick execute by w7m that fell flat on its face, and now the Clash that we talked about getting moved over will slow him down. I don't know why JV92 killed KZ there. That is a head scratcher. Isolate the Clash. This is a good play by Volps. I do like this very much. He has a suspicion that people are over in T, so he will roll out one of those Sens walls, give himself some concealment, now continue on as he pushes over towards Drum. Bullets will fire through all of that as Volps is still slowed by the Clash. No damage is being done by that electrification, Jesse, but this is really just a waiting game. They're just prolonging the inevitable at this point. It's a tough spot to be in for Volps. JV92 with the final kill. It took it about 40 seconds for somebody on Furia, other than a Clash, to come across their former teammate.
Smart play by JV92 to team kill KZ so that he could get the kill. KZ very close to passing JV92 on the total number of kills, so he's got to make sure he puts his teammate in his place so that he can get the free kill onto the slowed Sens. Captain of w7m not able to do a whole lot in that round, and that's largely because the captain of Furia had such an insane start to the round. Philippox playing inside a Geisha played that absolutely phenomenally. It's often talked about with w7m and Furia, the difference in the shield mentality between these two teams. Dots is one of, if not the best shield player in the entire world. He was leaning into these operators even before they got buffed way back in the day. Since we've become into a shield meta, Dots has really been able to thrive on this w7m roster, and w7m as a result have had some massive results as a team, most notably getting that Montreal major victory last year. Furia, on the other hand, while w7m were winning that major, didn't even qualify to Montreal. They really struggled through the shield meta, eventually deciding that we can just start ignoring shields. After they got nerfed a little bit with the introduction of Blackbeard, Furia have been able to thrive a bit more, and they just kind of ignore those shields. They don't play them a whole lot on the attack, but you see how good they are at countering them because they still have to play against them so consistently in the league. That play from Philippox was a great example of how you can counter a shield, especially in a 1v1, focusing the melee and then getting that hipfire headshot.
One big struggle for w7m has been fishing for the players on Furia on those back stairs. Time and time again, we see a shotgun aimed at one of the w7m attackers, and there's been no real answer as they attempt to take control from that first floor or also go through the door upstairs and push on in. You're hearing Paulo.
We're getting some Portuguese comms, Parker. I could try to live translate for you.
You do seem to know Portuguese.
I believe that's Herd saying I'm gonna kill Dodez.
Okay, I don't think you're very good at this, Jesse.
Oh. You're calling me a liar?
First doesn't even look like he's talking right now. Volps is the first casualty from the second moment, as Dodez had died a little bit earlier. And now there's a big run out. Herd's going for broke, doing damage to Palu, but Hots and Loban are at full HP. We still have the Portuguese comms, by the way, so I hope people are enjoying hearing the players talk. Down goes Dots in the hands of JV92. The only round that w7m picked up in this first half was a wild one that sure favored Furia through most of it. Now it's Loban. A single kill, getting some information. You can see him shake his head as he tussles with this small breach that's been opened up. KZ will get the final pick of the round, and Furia have been in full control for this first half.
Tough start for Loban, 1-6 too in the 1vx. Not really able to get much done on the side of w7m. He's always been an aggressive player. He's always been somebody who has a high number of deaths, so it's not surprising to see him going down in these games, but certainly is weird to see him not hitting the kill feed a little bit more often. It'll be a 5-1 defensive half from Furia. That's not uncommon on Skyscraper, but it still does apply the pressure to w7m, even if you're playing a very defender-sided map in high-pressure situations like this. When we're on land, when we're playing for a spot for top 4, it gets really, really difficult sometimes to be able to lock down these last couple of rounds. The same would go for Furia, of course. We'll just need to get 2 attacks, but sometimes those last 2 can be the most difficult. On the other hand, both of these teams have experience winning some of the biggest tournaments in the world, so I don't think they're exactly the type of joke. Maybe with one exception of w7m's newest pickup, but the new team, it's a new day. I think he can definitely hold it together for Paulu's sake.
I think we have hopefully fixed the player comms. They were very loud. I remember my first ever live broadcast, if I can take a stroll down memory lane here, was actually in Brazil. We were at that Max 5 arena in Sao Paulo.
What's your business there?
Thank you for, of course, you did that wonderful thread on my birthday a couple weeks ago, detailing all my era's tours, like a esports Taylor Swift, but with significantly less money. And
as you're often called.
Of course, absolutely. It's what people know me as. And we couldn't do a rehearsal that day because things were so far behind. The player comms are back. And now all sound is gone. Okay. We're workshopping it. Anyway, I just remember it was my very first live broadcast ever. Of course, I've got a little bit of jitters. We're in Brazil. We haven't done rehearsal whatsoever. We don't even talk back, Mike. Nothing. And right as we go live, they have piped in Retalia and Meligeni's casting and into our ears. I'm trying to intro the show while I have them screaming loud. I couldn't even hear my own thoughts. So it does remind me a little bit of about 8 years ago. A nice stroll down memory lane, as I said. These teams will come to blows. By the way, Furia with 1 pick. Nade now taking some serious damage as Herd falls a little bit farther back and is having some struggles, though he will take down Dodez. Nade pushing on up. Volps is taking quite the beating as well. Dot's still alive. 2 gas canisters in pocket. Make that 1 as he throws it out, and we hit the halfway point of the round. Furia have not missed a beat with this side swap. Time for some discovery now.
Tried to take the shields away from Nade. They've just left him with the smallest shield in the game, but he is happy to take that. Barely surviving on 1 HP, getting them a lot of space. Now w7m have reined things in a little bit. Nade is low HP. If you hit him with this Nitro Cell that Paulu's holding, that would be a massive break for w7m, but looks like Nade is rotating over towards Terrace instead, so it doesn't look like he'll be on the receiving end of that Nitro Cell. Paulu forced back with a frag grenade. We hit the 60-second mark in this round. These last 3 players, someone's got to be a hero.
Waiting for JV92 to get the call into action. Nitro Cell prepped and ready by Paulu as he plays around that crate in the midst of Geisha. Soft walls here for Herds as he could crack open some lines of sight, but he's waiting for the rest of his team to get in line. Opportunity for him to go on to drone. Only 2 drones remain on the side of Furia, so very limited intel that they will gain from this. In comes the blitz of Nade, squaring away Paulu, who's blinded. He can't activate those smart glasses fast enough. All the kills coming in for Furia, and it's Volps to die very quickly on. That's a 6-1 scoreline. If they hadn't misplayed that 2v2, this could have been a 7-0 victory for Furia. Still, they are running away with it. A 6-1 scoreline is quite a nice spot for them to be in as they look very eager to close out map number 1 and send us away to what might be the final map we see in a very quick day.
I will remind you also, map 2 is Border. That will be Furia's pick, and if they win it, it will be their 20th win in a row on Border. So a tall task for w7m. You must win 5 rounds in a row on your pick of Skyscraper, then you must win overtime, then you must survive the second map just to get to that third. I mean, this is not an easy spot to be in. They thought they had Furia in the map veto by taking them to Skyscraper, a map where they looked so bad just a week ago. But whether it was all a bait or whether they've managed to drastically improve on this map, Furia have looked far better than what we've seen from them in the past. Made excellent work on the blitz. I was just talking about how Furia don't play very many shields, and that's still true, by the way. They don't play many shields. But that doesn't mean they play no shields, and Nade can certainly get the job done when that is asked of him. Really well played on the blitz to barely stay alive. Then you kill Paulu on the Warden inside a Geisha. It's unfortunate he didn't have time to put on his cameras. That'll be a break, though. Loban with a smoke SMG-11 spawn peek kills JV92. That is the only hard breacher on the side of Furia.
Yeah, devastating loss, and a terrific player right now. Second in frags on the side of Furia. Second in the lobby, by the way. Nobody on the side of w7m has more than 4 kills. This has been a poor performance from fragging on the side of w7m, though they did start on the hard side, and they are going up against a team that can absolutely smother you. One thing we gave credit to Furia on when they defended the first half was how effectively they played together. Very, very few times did w7m have more than a single player lead in man count. Hard to find an edge against a team when they immediately trade you back, either the player that got the kill or trading off another player on another portion of the map. And that honestly is credit to Furia with the way that they're approaching this. Furia does have the harder task from here on out, which is attacking on Skyscraper. They made it look pretty easy in the previous round, but that could have just been beginner's luck in round number 1 of this side swap.
things have really slowed down since that opening pick. Furia, really tough already to attack 5v5 on Skyscraper, now 4v5 without a hard breach. I mean, that might have been enough on its own to seal the fate. We need a really big move to come out from somebody on the side of Furia. There's no shortage of players that could make a move like that, though. There's still a lot of roamers, 65 seconds left in the round, and most players on W7M are playing over here around Karaoke. They will be getting kills around Karaoke too. KZ falls to the bottom of main, leaving Philippox all alone in the 1v5. Not a whole lot of chances here. They swing him and he misses every shot. So it's going to be a flawless round to respond from W7M. It starts off a bit of that aggression from the spawn peak, and then it spirals out of control very quickly from Furia. It's exactly what they need to get the momentum back in this game.
The wheels, Jesse. We talked about the wheels falling off of Nip in map number 1, or in matchup number 1 here. The wheels fell off Furia in that round. And again, just going to show how hard it is to attack on this map, especially if you lose your hard breach early. A comeback like this, you already set the score in the previous round, is mighty, mighty tough. But W7M don't finish first overall in the league for good reason. They are absolutely capable of picking it up and riding out the remainder of this side. It was a 5-1 half for Furia when they defended. W7M could easily pull off the same. Easily, of course, is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that particular sentence. Their lineup looking very similar to what teams have been bringing on Skyscraper. You've got an Ella for those close and tight quarters. Her Guzman mines are excellent detection devices. They also can just obscure your view for a tiny period of time. Then you've got the Legion in the castle, which will slow you down, and you need an anchor op, and Smoke is, I would argue, the best anchor and last-minute defender of them all. There really is no weakness in Smoke's kit. To me, he is the perfect operator. For a period of time, Thatcher actually inhabited that role, but his weakness was always that his utility would live and die off of what defenders brought, and obviously he had that pistol sidearm. It's a very quick entry right now for Furia. While we did all that talking, look at this. KZ is already over towards backstairs. That's where the smoke should be positioned. If not a smoke, then a mute. Somebody on the side of the SAS with a shotgun will be very strong in that spot. Furia were able to do it with the smoke of Nade playing in that area most of their defender rounds. Furia's entry, though, doesn't find anything, so back to the drawing board they go.
They'll be happy with just keeping their buck down below the site and start to cause some chaos. It will be dots on the black stairs to try to lock that part of the map down if it ends up being where Furia choose to go push. Play more for the shrine window. They're starting to work on Geisha at this point. KZ hasn't done a whole lot of buck down below. He's got, of course, the utility. Now he will start to rip open floorboards and lose his life because of it. Paulu, excellent play on the shotgun. That vertical angle goes both ways, and of course, W7M come out the better of it. It's going to be their second opening pick now on the defense. They were able to spiral the last one, but it's a less important pick. You don't kill the only hard breacher, so there is still some hope for a push coming through from Furia. They've still got pressure over towards Geisha, which is where the hard breach was initially being used. They've now started to work Nade over towards Black Stairs, the position that he was holding on defense, and they've got JD on the windows too, so I like the positioning, but finding a pick is very tricky still.
Down goes Philippox now, and KZ's also in the ground, so rough going for Furia. Again, realizing how hard this can be, but hold your horses for a second here. Herds gets blown up by a nitro cell, but not before he'd found a kill. Numbers close for Furia, but Nade will need to clutch. He won't get the job done. They absolutely mob him over by backstairs. Now it's W7M taking 2 in a row. Defenders are doing so well and are certainly not changing the numbers with the way that this map is played. Again, it is the least played map in this region, but it was overwhelmingly defender favored. This series is going the exact same way. Only 2 rounds have been won by the attackers up to this point. Furia seems to know that they have their hands full and will be in a tough spot, so they burst their timeout bubble quite early. Will now talk amongst themselves as It's 2 rounds into the second half. We always love to see these timeouts. 2 rounds into a half.
This is a really critical round for Furia because this is where w7m will be forced onto a tertiary site. Now, almost for sure, they will be forced to go to barbecue and kitchen. There's a world where they go for bedroom, bathroom. We used to see that back in the day for Brazil, especially. They started to kind of innovate on that bomb site, but as of recent, they really haven't played that site at all. We saw it actually this week in North America with a bedroom bathroom defense that I believe was unsuccessful for the defenders. My memory is a little shoddy on that, so they might have won it. But either way, it is one of the least played bomb sites. My fun fact is always that it was the only bomb site not played at the Six Invitational in Boston. So yeah, usually thought of as the rarest site to see. If Furia can put a good game plan together for Barbecue Kitchen, as that is almost certainly the site and it will get locked in now, that's going to make all the difference. It's always difficult to attack the top floor on Skyscraper. It's not easy to attack BBQ Kitchen either, but it's their best opportunity. It'll be their best shot. If they lose here, they'll get another chance in round 12, but why not focus all your efforts on getting it done right now when the odds are most heavily in your favor?
Yeah, and again, something that we can always talk to these teams about. I know I joked with you about the whole Portuguese-English interview thing earlier, but when teams do prevail, providing they have somebody who can speak English comfortably on their team, they will do an interview here in English with our English team. English-speaking team, not from England. Both of these teams have proficient English language speakers as well, so I suspect that we will have no problem asking them about it when an interview comes in. w7m with their backs against the wall, but the wall is slowly pushing them forward in a good direction. It was the third ban, or it was the third round, by the way, of this side swap when they called the timeout, not the second, so I will stand corrected.
I like the mute ban. It's one of those operators that can be really effective. Arguably the strongest defender in the game. Doesn't really get targeted for bans very often because you can work around him, but he just offers so much to defending teams. Excellent close range gunfights, excellent utility, both primary and secondary. Lobin, for the second time in 3 rounds, has gone for a spawn peek / jump out and has killed the only hard breacher on Furia. How does this keep happening?
These hard breachers are bullet magnets, it would seem, and now it's Herds and Nade joining in the afterlife. JV92 and Felipox are both outside of the building and are probably wondering what the hell happened for that to fall apart so quickly. Dots exchanging 20 points of HP, and now the jump out controlling the T5 so well. As Felipox is the last man standing. A flawless round from w7m is very much on the board after Furia has called their timeout. What a devastating result. Not a single kill, nary one. w7m continues their winning ways. They've closed this gap to just 2 rounds and are riding the good side of Skyscraper and riding high in the process.
Skyscraper must be the most deceptive map in Rainbow Six Siege because it always seems to do this. It'll provide a lopsided first half. You're thinking, all right, wrap it up. Let's head to map 2. But nope, it's just the defender side strong as it always is. w7m answering back now with 3 in a row. Been excellent for them. They've also gotten all 4 of the opening picks since swapping to the second half. Lobin has 3 entries at this point on the defensive side of Skyscraper. Paulu got one of them back in round 9 as well. So they've really been controlling the opening gunfights. That is a common trend on Skyscraper. With the big reason why it's so difficult to attack is because it's so difficult to get into the building, especially on that top floor. There's so many places for defenders to play, and you often need to jump in a window. You need to make your way through a very small corridor. No matter where you try to enter the top floor, it's going to be awkward. It's going to be risky. You're going to have to fight a lot of different angles that are getting held by the defense. So usually defenders get the opening pick. Usually they can funnel that into more and more frags. Furia are not done getting creative yet, though. It was a blitz rush in round 9. Now round 10. Excuse me, round 10. Now round 11. Will showcase an exciting play coming through with Herds on the Amaru, looking to probably go up the office hatch. Nade on the Sens, who could make some big plays going through either towards Shrine or maybe in through this exhibition window as well. Whatever the plan is, Parker, it's going to be a fun exhibition.
I'm excited for it. I like the tools being brought. Furia will not allow w7m to set up if they pull off this execute quite effectively. Loban gets blinded as he goes for the swing with gas canister in hand. He finds a kill completely blind against Nade. That is unideal for the side of Furia. Birds has taken some damage too. Philippox dropped every gun from w7m hitting their mark. It could be another flawless round here too. Birds with a single point of HP outside with diffuser in hand. Back-to-back flawless rounds from w7m. And now it's Furia who have utterly collapsed. This defender side on Skyscraper will take no prisoners. Furia is finding that out in devastating fashion. Final round of regulation. w7m have fired up. They have the wind at their backs. And they're one round away from OT.
What an incredible turnaround that Loban has had in the second half. He has been fantastic. Remember, he had just one kill on attack. He was really struggling to get anything done on the offensive side, playing a lot of Dokkaebi, then that got banned out, moved to them playing a lot of Flores through the end of that first half. Now in the second half, he has had a ridiculous number of opening picks. 4 out of the 5 rounds found the entry and has skyrocketed his overall KD up to a 6 and 8. Still technically negative, but considering he was 1 and 6 at the half swap, that's going to feel exceptional for Loban. Often thought of as kind of the face of this team. He's been with the w7m squad for as long as they've been having this team. He was on the original low score that got picked up by w7m. Him and Dots have kind of been the duo that have maintained a teammate's a friendship even for so long in this game. And the one thing that always strikes me about Loban is how positive he is. It doesn't matter what has happened in the server. It doesn't matter what games have just played. You ever pass him in the hallway at LAN, he's giving you the biggest smile he possibly can. I think that translates in game as well. Maybe even if he does have a rough first half, even if he does get only a single kill through the first half, he's not going to let that get to him. You know, he's not going to get in his own head. He's going to stay positive, keep that smile, and keep on fragging as they move on to the next round and the next and the next and the next. Incredible mentality coming out from w7. It'll be able to bring this game back. Now, only one round will separate whether we decide to go to overtime or if we end this out 7-5. Tech pause will slowly or briefly slow down this game, but I'm sure all players are eager to get into this final round of regulation.
That social prediction has really tightened up too. Furia had the early lead. I'm not trying to compel any of you to vote for a specific team, by the way. I don't care which of these squads wins. Neither of them are gone from the SAL playoffs. One of these teams will clinch a top 4 spot, joining FaZe Clan as the only other team up there at the moment. One more opportunity, and the loser of this match will go down to the lower bracket. And as a reminder, we'll play Black Dragons later this week. Brazil doesn't have like a super week the way that we did. Their stage is spread out a lot more. I say Brazil now as in the SAL, because there's only Brazilian teams left at this point, but the Super Week will come in about a week's time as we conclude today. It is Sunday. Many of you, it is the Lord's Day. Well, today it is South American League Day. So, after that brief tech pause, we get back into the action. Furia needed a bit of a breather. They are dealing with a very hostile map. They are dealing with a very hostile team, and they are dealing with a team that is terrific and has been terrific through this entire stage. w7m sits alone atop the standings. They have been really quite terrific since picking up this roster. This organization has a great eye for talent. w7m came out of nowhere a couple years ago and surprised everybody, basically reinventing the way that teams defend in this game. They have a legacy behind them. They were a dynasty for a brief period of time. They won Reload over CAG, in case people have seemingly forgotten that, in their matchup earlier in the stage, which came at the tail end of June. Weeks ago, Furia prevailed 8-6 on Clubhouse, a map that will not be shown no matter what. We will have Border next. Chalet remains as a decider should it be needed.
All eyes on Loban hunting for this 5th opening pick on the defensive path. w7m currently being avoided though, as Furia don't seem to want to engage with their hottest player. Starting to open up the Geisha wall now. They will find a player just inside. That's Palu, who has consistently been playing this spot. Finds out a drone and can't really do much about the hard bridge, but his teammate sure can. Nice little movement coming out from, I believe that was Volps. Shoot off the Selma charge, so it's still going to be awkward to get a good angle onto Palu. That doesn't seem like it's going to be a successful point of entry. They might have to flex to a different direction. We got the Repel player being played by JV. A Logic Bomb could mark the opening though.
Lots of bullets being shot out, Jesse, but none of them have really hit their marks just yet. Something Furia has been desperate for in this second half has been a first pick. They will finally get it. Loban gets shut down in restaurant below. That was KZ using the Logic Bombs effectively and a sidearm to follow up on that. Next Logic Bomb will come out very briskly, so Furia wants to use these two gadgets as fast as possible to paralyze these defenders and put them into spots where they can easily flush them out. There's very little utility now here that remains on the side of the attackers, but just like that, JV92 will gain an even bigger advantage for his team. Volps almost got a second for his trouble. Down he will go. Things will go back and forth. Palu shutting down KZ. Furia desperate for this round. If they prevail, we go to map 2 of Border with Furia in a great spot to close out the series. Palu now removed from Geisha, and Dots is the last one left. It seemed inevitable that we would go to overtime, but that inevitability has all but disappeared. Nade will get the case to a great spot. Leapawk's punished by Dots as now the long rotate around will go. There's still some pings inside of the site for Dots to play off of. Two bodies from Furia now trying to hold down this re-entry from the lone defender. W7m fighting for their life at this point in time, and Nade will say no thank you. A hell of a comeback from W7m, but it falls short at the last minute, tripped up at the finish line, and Furia will eke out a victory on map 1.
That we see here in the South America League. Not surprising that they don't care to remove both. On the side of Furia, they take away a zombie smoke. It's going to be a very focused set of bans. Both those operators arrive on the east stairs part of this map. Make it really difficult to hold east stairs if you don't have a zombie or a smoke, because it is otherwise quite vulnerable. So we'll see what W7m do to respond to that. If they are going to play maybe something like a Fenrir over on east stairs, or we've seen other operators such as a Sentry get played over towards east, but another option is just to not hold it, and we've seen teams do that as well and have success.
Those that are just tuning in, we are on map number 2. If Furia prevails here, that is it. They clinch top 4 and they move on to play up against FaZe Clan, who prevailed in our matchup that happened about an hour or so ago. If you're wondering how we are already in our second series, it's because FaZe Clan absolutely bodied Ninjas in Pajamas 7-2 on Chalet, 7-3 on Bank, and it's being a little bit generous to this NIP team, because some of those rounds very easily could have been FaZe Clans. There were a couple that FaZe dropped that they probably shouldn't have. NIP really had very few good looks beyond what you see from those numbers. So one of the rare instances where the numbers actually do tell the full story. Map 1 got a little bit spooky for Furia and their fans, as the comeback was very real, aided by the fact that W7m's comeback was on a very defender-sided side of Skyscraper. Still, all Furia needed to do was win 2 of those rounds on attack. They managed to accomplish that, and in the 12th and final round of regulation, took map number 1, and now Furia will go to their own map. Should be comfortable territory.
Really like this castle setup coming out from Loban. They've understood that they can't really hold on to east with these bans, so they've just set up the castle barricades in a way that if they lose east, as they now have, it's not the end of the world. Volp's still in a bit of a cheeky spot, playing inside a break room, kind of behind one of his own teammates' castle barricades. Could be a quick pick from Volps if he manages to catch someone off guard from that spot, but it's not really where the entrance is coming through at the moment. W7m is still waiting for that initial contact. Furia have taking a lot of space over towards office, over towards east, but a minute 15 and still not even one opening pick is pretty rare for Border.
That's Volps now being called into action, taken out by Hertz, as As Herds is there's the very first entry from Furia. Philippox dies to a nitro cell thrown out by Dots, so something working on the side of w7m. They have no more late round potential. Pulse is on the board, but no more destruction capable on his end other than just fragging power. Through the Surya gate, nade will go, and now, oh my goodness, Dodds has not been thrown out of this position. Dodez with 3 kills from this position. Palu credited with the pick on to JV92. Things have fallen apart by Furia in a hurry. How do you not drone that out at all? Dodez allowed inside of security to exist way too long, crushing Furia's advances, and a round that looked like Furia had going in their favor so early on does not get much farther than this singular first pick onto Volps. Bird's gunned down by Paul, who has a desperate attempt to get into the bomb site, falls short, and w7m start off a great first round.
What a blunder from Furia. Dodez, just that sneaky spot inside security. He was literally blind because of the blitz flash. He couldn't see, but eventually when it wore off, he just hit the deck as soon as he got blind, and then they ran right on past him. With so little time on the clock, there was no time to drone that. They thought, screw it, we'll just throw the blitz in. We'll probably be able to find the security player, and then they ran over towards the rotate to hallway. They're like, wait, we don't see security player, and that's when they got shot in the back. Unfortunate chain of events for Furia. I should note before we get too deep into this game that while Furia have been exceptional on this map, one of the most recent times that they have come close to losing it was against w7m. These two faced off on border back at Reload in Sao Paulo and in Rio de Janeiro, I should correct myself. And that was 8-6. It was a Furia win, of course, but w7m brought it extremely close. So they have a strong history playing against Furia on this map. They should know what to expect coming back from that game at Reload. We'll have to see whose adaptations come out to be better in this second game, because these two opponents will be very familiar with one another.
They did just clash just a couple weeks ago as well in a matchup that went into overtime. On Clubhouse, an 8-6 score line, if you remember me referencing that all the way back in map number 1. Okay, Z. I have an idea on that window. Loban gonna move at all. Look at this patience. KZ's got 2 separate angles to cover. Is he gonna get siege timing here as Loban is existing with a bit of real estate in mind? Loban's patience might actually wear off. No! KZ punishing him, almost dying. With that, Furia have the leadoff pick.
I think Loban was waiting for some kind of a sound cue, maybe a rappel or something else to try to make an aggressive move, but KZ, tired of waiting, takes things into his own hands. It's a lot of map control already from Furia. They haven't really contested up above, but they've got lots of control over towards the waiting area of the map, inside of bathroom, inside of tellers. They can start to make a move. They've already started to use these smokes. They want to get a plant down workshop, and it'll come quick.
Mandela is going off amidst that explosion of light and sound. Nade will get diffuser down, and 8 players still alive as we now move into a post plant. Good patience here from Dodez as he's rewarded for that one. Herds and Nade both fall. On the case is Dots. Philippox losing a lot of his HP. Now it's all up to KZ, who punishes Dots. Alu on low HP as well, but the Oryx of Dodez will have the final laugh. It may be their map, but Furia do not look fully comfortable here yet on attacking border, Jesse. w7m sprinting out to a 2-0 lead.
Really quick reaction as soon as that plant went down. They had a good idea of what the push would be from Furia because of Loban's initial contact. Yes, he went down inside the teller's window. He's maybe having a bit of a laugh about that now, but he very early got information on where Furia wanted to push. The vast majority of their players were over on the east side of the map. They were getting into tellers, they were getting into waiting, and so it was very much relayed to w7m that, okay, this is not going to be a push around vents. They're probably not going to be pushing upstairs around lockers or anything like that. They're going to be going in the bottom floor. They're going to be going for a workshop push. They let the plant go down, but they never panicked about that, right? They weren't so concerned. They had strong positioning around the map inside of customs from up above as well to try and make some flanks over towards waiting. They had a really good idea of the map control that they controlled. They were able to make sure that they could collapse in and get that disabled very, very quickly. Temporarily stalled out by KZ on the buck. He had a potential for an ace there in the 1v4, but not quite going to be possible that time, and w7m hold together for 2-0.
My ears were playing tricks on me there. I just heard a logic bomb. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if it was some buzzing in the background or not, but I was like, hold on a second here. I was like, there's no way that's happening in the prep phase, right? Remember when Blitz was originally conceptualized as an operator that can spawn in during the prep phase? Thus his name Blitz, because he was supposed to be very fast.
That was before my time, Parker.
Well, it never ended up happening. It was how Blitz was originally first thought up was, okay, well, this operator will spawn during the prep phase. The rest of them won't. And I think the devs very quickly realized maybe this isn't the most balanced of things.
Imagine.
Shield ops are available, by the way. The only shield that's been banned out up to this point is Blackbeard. One more might join, but with Furia's little insistence on bringing those operators, I don't know if that will be the op that w7m chooses to get rid of. It could be a Ying ban, even though Ying isn't present here. She is good on most bomb sites on this map and can be very challenging to deal with. Oben has had a very forward defense here, Jesse, through all of these rounds, and will do so yet again, defending upstairs, and will have two separate players from Furia hunting him down. Manages to survive for the time being as he punishes the drones that come on in, taking that intel away, but he's got a good lineup onto KZ. And with a DMR in hand, he can do some serious work.
Oben swings this 9 times out of 10, but right now he's playing really passive, perhaps trying to bait for a teammate to make a move. Volps and Dodes are both inside of offices. Dodes is playing that radio window for a potential aggressive play. They don't actually engage. A lot of restraint being shown by Loben. Instead, the window player of Dodes gets the opener. Great shot on the Fleet box.
This is a very forward defense from w7m. Furia are not equipped to deal with it at all, at least in the first bit of action, but they're cleaning up after that, and they've now put w7m at a disadvantage that Dodes is putting in some good work to ensure it does not last too terribly long. KZ now eliminating Dodes' HP a little bit by a little bit. Dodes 7-1 as he tries for the drop off. He cannot do it. Nade shutting him down, and now it's Palu who's yet to die through these 3 rounds. 3 kills to 5 kills. Palu will need to go. The former star of Team Liquid finding new life on w7m. The team benefiting from his presence greatly. He can stack up to the best of them. He has more kills than the 2 remaining players from Furia combined. He's got a favorable spot as well. He's secured by some soft walls, some reinforcements, some castle barricades. Eager to go for a fight over towards lobby, but JV92 just has his number, and the first death for Palu in this map will occur, costing w7m the round and allowing Furia to get on the board. No perfect defender rotation for the Bulls as Furia takes round number 3.
We don't have pistol rounds in Siege, but don't let that stop you, Dodes or KZ, from bringing out the secondaries and causing chaos. A couple of kills coming out from both players of Furia and w7m with those sidearms. Just a chaotic kind of scramble in for offices and for Fountain. We saw a lot of players on w7m holding that part of the map, and you got to kind of wonder, maybe they should have gone a little aggro. Maybe Loben should have gone for a swing because they let Furia get more or less set up. They lost the entry, but KZ had no deterrence as he freely jumped into archives, was not challenged on the vault, and then was able to really start dealing damage as he pressured towards Fountain all himself. It took a while before he got shot down by Dodes, and so was able to do so much work for Furia. They're happy to get on the board early. This is important to be able to get at least 1 round here attacking on border. It's a map that can be relatively 50-50. Sometimes it leans towards the attackers. I will say throughout this stage, both of these teams have had a lot of success on the defense. Furia have only played 1 game this stage on border, and they went 6 for 6 on their defensive half. w7m have played it twice. They've had 12 total rounds on their defense. Got a 75% win rate through those 12 rounds. So both of these teams are very proficient on their border defenses. Could be a bit more on their side of map compared to what we sometimes see.
Not much of a change up from Skyscraper should the defenders have the upper hand here, though admittedly border should not be as friendly to those defenders. I do not expect 5-1 halves.
Yeah.
Of which we got very close to on Skyscraper. Dota's eliminating Herds yet again. And look at that. He's laughing. Herds is dead and he's laughing. They're all laughing. Loban getting in on some of the fun as well, joking around. The spirits are not quite as high on the side of the former world champions as Furia don't look very excited with the way that this is starting off. They'll rely on Philippox to give them some, maybe a bit of a pep talk, maybe some encouragement, as you saw him being quite chatty on the player cams of Furia. W7M, every single round, keep taking these chances, and they keep paying off with early aggression, and is knocking Furia down time and time again.
Walking a border, this is how it gets played. JV is tired of it though, with Loban ripping a C4. He's able to walk in and equalize the numbers to 4-4. Paulu's taking a lot of damage, as has JV and Nade, so not a lot of healthy bodies on either side. We still have a couple of players that can stand with full HP. Border can be one of these maps that can be really, really fast or very slow, depending on kind of how these defensive players want to take it. Dota has been exceptional inside of security with that DMR, 8-2 as his current stat line. They need to find a way to either get past him or get around him. And right now with this Twitch drone, they've got good information if they want to go head on.
Heartbeat sensor activated.
Still at the windows, still looking for these Furia players as they get ever closer to the bomb site. Dot's eliminating Philippox, and things are not great on the side of Furia as they tied it up in terms of players. JV92 is now down for the count as well, relying on one of the two remaining upright bodies on Furia to retrieve him. There are drones on the side of Furia, but every single round they seem to be running behind on information. JV92 might have got himself into a secure spot, but the problem is Nade needs to get himself into a good position, just outside of the range of that cardiac sensor of Dots, or at least it would appear, as JV92 is able to get picked up under the cover of darkness. W7M in a great position for the final 30 seconds, Jesse.
Where do they go with this though? Nade has defused kit and break room. They could pivot towards lockers despite a lot of pressure so far towards break. I believe that will be the call as he starts to make the move.
Down goes Nade, down goes KZ, JV92, the last hope for this round, and I mean, he's been brought back from the dead once. He's far from immortal, 10 seconds left, he's just gonna hold this angle, he won't give them anything, so the round will end W7M with 4 players still alive, only losing Loban earlier. That's all they really had happen to them. Defenders having a great time so far on border. For fans of Furia, you might have to wait a couple more rounds for the side swap to come in before you start seeing some good looks from your team, because W7M are doing to Furia what happened to W7M on map number 1. Border right now very firmly in the W7M camp.
Dota is on fire at the moment. Again, the highest KDR in the South America League coming into this game, a 153, is backing that up with a ridiculous stat line right now. 10 kills through the first 4 rounds. Doesn't happen very often. We'll be at 10-2 to start round number 5. Of course, this young player was picked up by W7M at the start of last season after having his rookie stage on E1 late 2023. A player with an incredible amount of mechanical talent. He very quickly proves just how good he can be at a tier 1 professional level. Had floated around tier 2 for a while, kind of the early half of 2023 and the entirety of 2022 was trying to get onto those top level teams, but it took E1 taking a chance on him for the rest of the league to really wake up and realize just how incredible this player was. Now he's doing it at the biggest stage, of course, major champion with W7M last season, so he's having a hell of a career and wants to be able to make it to another one of those big events.
Heartbeat sensor deployed.
What a performance by Dota so far, Jesse. 10-2, 7-1 at one point, so he's showing that he can have huge impact round by round. Currently sitting above 2 kills per round, which is an incredible feat. For a long period of time, Shaiko was one of few players in the world that had over a kill per round, and that might not seem like much, but in Siege, to be able to consistently achieve that is a huge accomplishment. Notice is 10 kills for W7M. Volts and Loban, his 2 teammates, have 0 combined. You're gonna need some real big effort out of them, and Volps will immediately fix that issue as Dotas has died. AZ in the ground as well at the hands of Volps. Now it's Volps' turn to die to Herds. W7M combining for 7 kills on the remaining 3 players. Philippe Hawks not on the board either for Furia, so some goose eggs that will need to be broken by both teams, as that's a minute now burned off of the clock.
Heard that trash talk at the end of the last round, or even at the start of last round, as Dodas, we saw him laughing. Got a little angry at it. They've got a rotation being made, but it's easily read. Furia deal a lot of damage. The pistol, they have this guy in their sights, but they can't get the kill. That's tragic from Nate. It should have been a freebie as Loban makes his escape back to Fountain. I don't know how he's alive. Thankfully, Fleetbox breaks his goose egg to be able to find that pick. These last two, Paulo and Dots in a 2v4.
And it's all dots. So W7M's lead now down to a single round as multiple players from Furia all in on that final kill. Bullets whizzing by left and right. And it really did come down to shutting down Loban. He's been exceptional, or Dodez rather. He has been exceptional on that roam. He has been in the faces of Furia round by round by round. And it was a great look from Furia, isolating Dodez, finding him very early on, shutting him down, snowballing from there. Yes, they did lose one, but then very swiftly pivoted. And now a 3-3 first half is absolutely possible. Furia start on the bad side of this map. It's their map choice. W7M picked to defend first, so things should be going well for the Bulls at this point in time. If a 4-2 half is not possible, then Furia might be a little bit relieved. Still, W7M have been of great energy and great motivation up to this point, laughing, giggling, having just a great time on player cams. Expectations are high for this W7M team. They are major champions, minus Palu, of course. They finished first in the group stages, and they would love to go to map 3. If not, they have a date down in that lower bracket up against Black Dragons. Some chatting from JV92, and immediately Dota says, chat off. I don't want some typing, just focus on the game. I do like the things said between the players, admittedly. That said, final round of this first half. Furia looking to tie things up.
You're sitting right next to the other team. You could just yell it at them, but sometimes typing makes it a little bit easier, I suppose. They'll have a way to attack on this 6th round, as it is going to be Bathroom once again for the bomb site of W7M, trying to close this one out with a 4-2 split. Electroclaw being cleared out by Palu, and a kill as well. Nice entry from JV92, backing up that trash talk with an opening pick onto the former Liquid player. Good entry on that east side of the map will make sure that they have a little bit of space to work with over towards waiting. Job is not done, of course. They need this top floor control. Volp's scarily lurking inside a break room. He's got Dodez near him as well, but he pops off for the first.
Need more out of that from Volps. Hey, down that Snow Nomad. No air jabs that will be had either. Look at this. The clash of Loban attracting all the attention with 2 separate players from W7M side by side. Stalemate in terms of numbers at the moment. Bugs got his kills, by the way, so the only player that has yet to get on the board through this first half is Loban. Again, he plays on roles where we don't expect him to get so many kills, so it's not the end of the world that he's sitting at 0-4. He will provide immense value on a clash. Candela will go out. KZ looking to push up off of it. Herds will do the same. Herds taking some serious damage in the process. KZ joining him now too, and look at this full court press from the defenders. They've been caught with their pants down on the side of Furia. KZ is in the ground. Herds bleeding out. Philippe Hawks and JV92 are the last 2 that still have a body right now. But immediately they come to blows and win the engagements with W7M. Dots his last one there, and JV92 gets it done. That was a round that should have been won by W7M. But so far, from map 1 all the way now to this conclusion of first half on Border, these teams have suffered a lot on rounds they should have won. This time it's Furia getting the upper hand. The first half is in the books, 3-3, Jesse, and what does that mean for the second half?
Listen, I think Furia have got him right where they want him. You can see the mentality shift. It was W7M laughing and yelling at the screen. Now it's Furia who are standing up. JV92 at the end of that last round getting out of his seat. he has a reputation for standing up after nearly every round win in big important games at LAN. I've missed seeing this guy play at a closed environment offline. He's had too many online games, I think, where they've been playing in the regular season. So it's good to see JV getting up. You saw after that round as well, the coach coming over and consoling Nade. His early death in that last round was not ideal, but opened up the door a little bit for the rest of Furia to be able to walk through that top floor, find a couple of big kills. Now they'll swap to the defensive side. They remove the Blackbeard and the Ying off the board. Interesting to see those two operators being removed. Ying can be incredibly strong, usually for some rush plays on the top floor or in through the bathroom window. And then a Zombie Castle, probably the two most commonly banned operators on Border. There's some really strong windows that can be played up, and that castle can really be used to great effect on the eastern side of the map too, to cut off some strong angles. So I like it from w7m.
Both of these teams living up to their billings at this point in time, Jesse. I mean, if you're Furia, you've got to be confident. This is a team that has stared down one of the largest deficits in the biggest rounds and the biggest maps in the history of this game and managed to pull off a comeback, an improbable one in front of a massive crowd to win a world championship. I don't think that the adversity that is being presented by w7m will be in and of itself too much of a challenge for Furia, though Furia has shown that they're not the best and invincible team in the world these days. They have come back down to earth. Their win in Reload was welcomed by their fans. They have struggled to adapt to some changes to the game over the last year and a half. w7m has been quite a surprise, a pleasant surprise, I will say. And it's, from an outside perspective, it's nice to see Paulu having his time in the sun yet again. He and Nesk are two players where it's so hard to be a casual fan and not cheer for them. If they can accomplish a victory on Liquid, where maybe Nesk can, but Paulu certainly won't as he doesn't play on the team anymore, it would be good to see them win a chip somewhere else. If you're a fan of Paulu, you hope that that's at least w7m for the time being.
Good information on JV playing that site position with Yeko. It's been a couple of months since he's played this op on this site, but this is a lineup the Furia ran back at Reload. Didn't see it in their one game this stage on Border, but can certainly be a fun one. Fleetbox tasked with holding down the east stairs. Start to slow things down as Volps tries to make that entrance, but he does take about 50 HP, and they are in and they are out. A little nervous, but some pressure being applied to Fleetbox and KZ on the east side.
Damage has been done to that smoke, and Felipox in response has used all of his gas canisters with well over a minute to go, which is unideal timing. You look at the gadgetry on the side of Furia and it's all gone at this point. Same cannot be said on w7m as they expend a logic bomb and now an EE1D for follow-up. Felipox missing an opportunity as Dodes will walk up, and because that it directly gets KZ killed, he's traded back by Herds, but if Felipox had gotten that pick, KZ would still be very much alive. Again, shutting down Dodes is a huge accomplishment for Furia. Oh my. Felipox dropped by Dots as I don't know exactly what Felipox was trying to do over in that portion of the map. Things will not get better for Furia at this current point in time.
Great clear of the roam game. Obviously, Fleetbox, KZ holding down the east side. They both get cleared and they only trade out for one, but JV answers and the barbed wire gives away Volps' position. So man advantage traded right back to Furia with less than 30 seconds on the clock.
JV92 was invisible for most of the early rounds, but he has been making statement after statement at this point. Nade dispatched over and found, and there goes Paulu. Dots with the diffuser in hand, no utility whatsoever, will now stand against two players on the side of Furia. And JV92 has a sensational round, closing out the first round of the second half in triumphant fashion. Excellently done by Furia as they take the lead.
We didn't catch it on cam, but you can bet JV was standing up after a 3K like that. Big play coming through from the Echo. Early game did not go their way. It was a very classic hold on the east side with Felipox in the common position, bottom of east stairs, a player trying to support him from inside a break room. That was really well cleared by w7m. I love the flashbang they threw from the skylight. You don't see that every day. I believe that was trying to bounce down and then flash out somebody towards rafters, although I'd have to go back and see in a match replay file where exactly that was headed. It's a great early game from w7m as they made good value out of their entries, but then in the late round just could not compare. JV92, an extremely smart player. He knows when he needs to swing and when he needs to rein things in. you can put him on one of these anchor positions like an Echo, and he'll still have the wherewithal to know when he needs to get off those cans and pull up his gun, go for a big swing. Really good stuff, and they will give Furia the first lead of this map.
All it took was the side swap coming in. If you like the defender's chances on border, you are favoring Furia from this point forward. I always love a little accidental alliteration, by the way. Not intend for all of that to work. Before we got into one of the NAL matches, Jesse messaged me and said, do you want to try to do it where all of our sentences rhyme with each other? And that just sounds like a hell on earth, so no.
I was
Why
very
don't you try to
rude
do that
response.
at a live event, providing that you and Fluke have an opportunity to cast together, because that seems like the type of thing that she would absolutely adore trying.
Just felt like you shut the idea down relatively quickly. I just thought maybe some new ideas would be nice in the casting booth, but some
Yeah,
are
I've got an idea. Let's try to
traditionalists.
rhyme every sentence with each other for very important matches. That's brilliant. See, you and I barely have 2 brain cells to rub together, and you want us to try to rhyme? To one of the Brits. They're faster on their feet. Volp's under fire now, by the way, as he looked to be using a logic bomb, but stops for a second. He'll buy himself some time, and now some information will come to his side of things, as now Dots absorbs an awful lot of damage. KZ under fire inside of Customs. Down he goes. Alu and Loban on the board so far this round, and w7m have broken things open with still over half of the time in round 8 to go.
Nice little escape from Herds. You don't see it too often, but the vault up the hatch from Oryx will get him back to safety. He probably dies if he can't jump up that hatch. So nice little move. Now, of course, that does move him above the bomb site. It's Vent's workshop. So he's going to have to rotate back over or get a vert denial if he'd like to. JV92 is the sole anchor actually playing on the ground floor, but that doesn't mean he's alone. He actually just walks up metal stairs. So now is able to play up above with his teammates. They'll have rotates to go back to site if they need to. Dots will be looking for a very similar plant to what Furia tried in round number 2, where he just gets inside the workshop door, tries to plant it with the shield on his back, but with so little HP, it's still really risky. One bullet will get him down.
Here, those Lodge Bomb can continue to run away amidst the smoke. Diffuser going down. Dots on very limited HP. No concealment that can be had, but he's taken out by Nade, and the case doesn't go down either. JV92 on 11 kills now, having a terrific moment of his own. Volps and Paulu still standing, and now it's all up to Herds as Paulu will continue to tear through these players. Herds doesn't really have a lot of intel, but he needs to watch these 2 bomb sites like a hawk. Soft wall in front of him. An entry point potentially coming from over towards bathroom as now Herds, you'll see those tracers go out, awaiting Paulu to get Diffuser down. He's tucked in quite safely. What a monstrous round from Paulucifer. As sometimes it's not the devil you don't know. Sometimes you know the devil and you just can't do anything about him. W7m will equalize, and we are tied up at 4 apiece. The lead for Furia, very short-lived.
Paulu has, on occasion in the past, been accused of being a bit of a baiter. And listen, he does have the highest survival rating in the South America League at 45%. But there's a good reason why he always plays his life for the late round. Because when he needs to step up, he is an incredible late round player. 30% success rate in the clutch, better than anybody else in the lobby. Didn't need to be a clutch, of course, had Volps by his side in that moment, but still in the man disadvantage. If there's anybody that you're going to want swinging on your behalf, be able to claw back the man disadvantage, be able to run things out on the clock, it's going to be Paulu. Thought it was going to be the anchor play of Nade dropping down the hatch and denying the plant. That was going to be the moment in that round, but instead Paulu coming alive. Now up to 6-4, starting to have a bounce back in this game. The newest pick with w7m is showing exactly why he was brought onto this roster and really doing a great job against Furia.
Had players dominate these rounds so far. I mean, JV92's had incredible rounds. Dodes has had great rounds. Paulu's turn now. Dodes has fallen off, and that might be a bit of a concern for w7m, but thankfully there is depth here on this team. Dot's a terrific player playing on that shield, might not be getting a lot of kills, but will be driving the offense forward as the rest of these players work alongside him. I'm more concerned with Volps and Loban. They have 5 kills through 9 rounds. They were both without a kill at a point in time, if you recall. That was the round where things fell apart for Dodes, and he has not been able to recover in the offense department since. Dots will break in now through jail. Find himself inside a customs and will have to now confront yet another barricade. As shield on shield action could be in front of our very eyes. Philippox now navigating the clash to get ever closer to where that blitz is, but now Philippox is pretty safe inside the B-bomb site. Just going between waiting and tellers through that rotate that is large enough to accommodate a shield fully extended. Set up for w7m over towards customs, and they'll chip away at this defense of Furia.
The goal is to make the blitz move through that ash charge hole that they can then get into the bomb site and put the defuse kit on the ground. But against a clash, I'm not sure how well that's going to go. Dots is now making a rotate. They fake the smoke and head upstairs. The Fenrir charge does give away, but does he care? Ring around the Rosie, and the blind comes out. Beautifully played. JV92 hits the deck. Volps found one as well, so it's a 5v3 now favoring w7m. They have completely taken over this round.
Best player on the side of w7m in the ground. Loban will join before trading out with Nade beautifully. KZ gets Volps though, and to a 2v2 we go. Shields up on both sides. Blitz for Dots now, planting the diffuser. They're searching for something. Palu keeping them at bay as KZ eliminates Palu, and now it's Dots. The shield of Blitz is not very well equipped to take on a 1v2, especially when one of those operators is the clash. Down he'll get by KZ and finished off as Furia will now have ample time to hop on the case and take the round. Furia will regain the lead. If they keep trading back and forth with w7m through the second half, that will get Furia to the 7-round mark faster, giving them a 2-0 victory and a matchup against FaZe in those upper bracket semifinals. Technically, it would be the upper bracket it would be the upper bracket final, because then there's a grand final that occurs with one of the upper bracket teams. But I always my eyes kind of always glaze over at these terms because people don't always treat them as such. Last operator to be banned out. Jesse, any predictions? Quick, you have 1 second.
Mira and Blitz.
Wow, you are really on top of it. I can't believe how good you were there. You called them both perfectly.
Thank you, Parker. It's a great skill of mine, and it's something that I know all casters aspire to be as strong with. Listen, it was a great round coming out from Furia on that bathroom defense. I love how in the 2v2, KZ and Philippox, they were both upstairs and they did not care one bit that the defuse kit was going down. They were aware of it. When that plant's happening bottom floor and you see both defenders completely ignoring it, you might think, they don't even know it's a sneaky plant down below. But they fully understood that if they could just hunt down and kill Palu, wow, a 2v1 against a shield, even a 1v1 versus the Blitz, if you can play that right, certainly doable. And so Furia, I think, played that expertly. The two 23-year-olds, KZ and Philippox, standing up big in that late round. Just after I was praising Palu in the late round too, he ends up losing that one. But it was a tough spot with the attackers being so isolated from one another and the defenders being so grouped up. W7M, I mean, overtime is looking quite likely unless they can go a perfect attacking rotation through the final quarter. To do so, they banned out the Mira, which is an operator that was brought a little bit. In fact, was it? I don't know. Parker, I don't think we saw a Mira at all through the first half, or first quarter of this half from Furia.
No, I'm wondering that as well. I don't have the numbers in front of me for the granular bans, but no, I am a little bit perplexed by it. You're equally confused by that Mozzie ban in the very first matchup of Nip versus FaZe, if you will recall. W7M will be very quick here. Look at this. Glaz, Finka, Monty, and an Amaru as Palu gets taken out first, and immediately Furia will battle through this. They lose JV92, which is quite poor. That was the Monty of Dot securing the final kill. Doda's still up as well. He's been a big win condition for W7M. Can he pull anything off here? Nomad is not a traditional fragging operator, though she can be in a pinch. He's searching for something over towards security. He trades out onto Herds. That was a bit belated. It certainly seemed like Herds should have okay in that instance. Volps outside right now on vents, looking for a pick, holding the cross over towards Metal. He's got one player pinned down as now Dots will get diffuser down, and Volps cannot cover this. Then Dots will be in no man's land, picked apart, and damage is being done by Nade, who's managed to wrap around over towards this armory side. Mountain is now fully extended, and Volps will try to cover from that sandwich window. Still outside, still isolated. I'm not really sure what the idea was there for Dots, but Volps has put himself up into a 1v1 and looking for a quad kill knockout against Nade. Furia will get match point here if Nade wins the duel, and that's exactly what he will do. Nade and Handy have been terrific today. The brothers in sync through separate matches, and it's series point for Furia.
Nade had to go around the world to win that round. At one point, he was jumping out the vents window, trying to take down the Finca on the AC window. I mean, some real big moments coming out from Nade. His movements in that round just so incredibly good. And I mean, you said it, Parker, hoping to join his twin brother in the top 4. Just qualifying on FaZe Clan. Handy did a few hours ago, and now getting extremely close in this match against w7m. Furia just 1 round away, so we will see the tack timeout come out. You can see the expression coming out. w7m, they know how important this is. That's Norris, the head coach of this team, as he has been for years at this point. Speaking directly to the IGL, directly to the captain of w7m, Volps. Former and current teammate of Palu, trying to get this round back in their head. It was a rare mistake by Dots, by the way. That play with the Monty, he was terrified of planting for so long in that round. And when he finally tried it, he'd waited long enough for Nade to make the rotation and get some feet shots at him, and then just panicking, I think, letting his head be exposed to Nade in the last moment there. That was uncharacteristic of one of the best shield players in Brazil.
Small mistakes like that can have much greater impact on the rounds, and w7m have discovered that, if they didn't already know that. If you were watching, you're now discovering it too for the first time. AZ will be running a Solus at close range with a shotgun in hand, and will be interesting to watch the deployment of this operator. Solus's pick rate has fallen off of a cliff after a series of very hard nerfs. There was a period of time where Fenrir, Azami, and Solus were just so strong, there was very little reason to not bring them. Obviously, changes have made them more niche. Azami's still incredibly powerful, Fenrir somewhere in the middle, and Solus is downright useless in a lot of instances, especially outside of pro play.
Yeah.
Operators like Solus, like Castle, like Blitz don't really have a ton of value at certain ranks unless you're very well coordinated. Look at this. There's a drone right now on Nade's feet. They can get an angle on him, and this might be an opening pick for Dots. Nade back up. There we go. Oh my goodness, Nade. And I mean, I'm not really sure what the thinking was there, especially in an angle like that where you're so exposed you can get droned out very quickly. Saving grace, though, is that Nade will get picked up by JV92, so something lost by Furia will be HP, but they're still with 5 players now.
They're barely out. That lion charge could have been the death of them. If they chose to stand still and not get pinged, they would have been both dead, sitting in that corner. There was no way to escape from it. But as soon as he got the pickup, it didn't matter if the lion was being roared. They just said, we need to get out of here. That's quick thinking by Furia.
KZ will back away. He's trying to get some information from his gadget, but finds nothing. Over towards break room, watching that direction. 3 drones on the board for w7m right now, and they will find KZ, so the Solus, who's trying to tuck and cover, will not be able to accomplish that. Jonas could have another one here over now towards the 90 portion of security. If there's a rotate behind Herds, he might be able to get to safety, but he is in a rough spot. Furia will sit on match point for the remainder of this half. w7m have 2 more opportunities after this to push us to overtime. What a great start they have, though, now, as Philippox is down for the count. Nade still living on borrowed time after he'd been punished earlier. JV92 gunned down. Flawless round denied by Furia as Nade eliminates Dots. Herds and Nade are the last 2 standing. Outnumbered 2-1. It will get worse. Loban punishing Nade, and Herds tries to get away. It sure did seem like Furia had no damn idea where w7m was coming from at any point in time in that round. I frankly have seen very few rounds where a team has been so surprised by the positioning of their opponents as Furia just was by w7m. Do or die now for the former world champions, as a successful attack by w7m will propel us into OT here on map 2.
There's potential for Nade to be a hero yet again. He had the defuse kit downed on radio window, but did get cleared out by Loban. It was a good trade to come through, so not the end of the world. w7m live to fight 1 more round, trying to force this overtime up against Furia. Been getting scary in this game. We know how good both these teams are. Last time they played on Border was once again back at Reload. That was an 8-6 victory for Furia. We are looking like a very similar game now in the BR6 playoffs, the SAL playoffs, I suppose they're now called. Been some big moments coming out from a lot of the support players in this matchup. JV92, Nade, both having some big moments. Beside at w7m, we've seen some big plays from Palu as well. From Dots too. Final round will go down to Bathroom and Tellers. This is one of those sites that last time we saw it was a successful defense for Furia back in round 9. Bit of a different setup coming through now though. No longer will they be running the Clash as they previously did, switching most of their operators up to try to provide a new look for w7m.
A lot of drones lost by w7m very early, Jesse. This does not bode well for them getting any intel. This was a problem for Furia in the previous round, whether they got droned out by w7m or w7m just knew where they were instinctively. Furia was fighting from behind the entire round. E1D is used now by Loban, scares KZ off of his position. Furia have had some struggles in this best of 3. They almost lost their grip on map number 1. They could yet still lose their grip here on map 2. Difference being, I don't think we expected Furia to be so competitive on map 1. It wasn't their choice. Here on Border, very favorable turf. Down goes Dots to KZ, and KZ could have yet another. He will! Expecting to get pushed over from break room, he squares up inside of security by what is often referred to as Banana. And on the gun of Herds as KZ is finished off by Palu, and now it's Herds expecting some presence inside of Archives. Out goes a Nitro Sal, Felipox dies, Loban dancing around this. He and Volps have been punished for it, but Loban will tear through JV92. Herds on low HP, but still alive as Nade retreats to the bomb site. w7m might have lost the first player, but they have bailed themselves out of this position oh so effectively. Now it's up to Herds and Nade to keep this close, work together, as it's a 2v2 with a minute still left.
Slow this down a little bit, Parker. They've got top floor control. They don't need to go crazy with it. They've got hard breach being played by Volps with only one ace. Hatch is already open. They've used both Selmas onto this, so they can go for the drop when they want to. The first flash flies through, but I'm not sure if it'll be the drop yet. Just a bait to try to get these players to move. Nade, the only player on full HP and playing on that Warden, so will be immune as the drop comes.
One drop so far through Bathroom. Fuser from Palu getting planted. Nade trying to scare him off. Palu, though, does not fake whatsoever. Now it's Herds from above. He'll have the read here. Oh my goodness, he missed his opportunity, making up for it with the bullet pen through the wall. Palu with 8 kills to go up to 10 to break double digits to keep his team in it. 9 is found as he circles around. The drop will now come in from Herds. Both of these players so formidable, legends of the Brazilian scene. Herds sticking to it, falling off. Palu, though, outdueled. Herds will have the last laugh. Furia take it in 2 maps. And we have but a quick day. Finished up early, Jesse.
The monster gets unleashed on land.